The drama begins with a mother abandoning her newborn daughter in the street. She's endured a harsh, grinding life, until one day, by chance, she helps an injured man. From that moment, fate smiles upon her. She's adopted by a wealthy man and becomes his daughter. The child grows into a kind young woman who meets a prince. As usual, evil lurks nearby. Another girl, consumed by jealousy, decides to harm our heroine. Meanwhile, a kind young man secretly loves the heroine. Though he never confesses, he quietly shields her, staying out of sight. The jealous girl escalates, setting the heroine's house on fire. Bravely, the prince dives into the flames and rescues her himself. They marry, and the story should end there. But suddenly, a notification pops up on a phone. The story will stop and won't continue. The girl reading the story on her phone goes insane, yelling in anger, smashing her keyboard. Then, as she sleeps, her room fills with an eerie light. When she awakes, a voice calls her, bringing her water to wash her face. Confused, she realizes she's become Cian, the youngest daughter of the ruling family in the story. The name doesn't feel unfamiliar, and as she listens, it becomes clear. She's been pulled inside the very novel she was reading and cursing the author of. At first, she can't believe it, but the servants guide her to breakfast. She enters a grand hall where the father, mother, and 3 brothers await. Not used to her new world, she accidentally calls her adoptive father uncle before catching herself. As they begin eating, her eldest brother offers her meat. The second checks if she's unwell gently, but the servants stop him. The third brother eyes her suspiciously, noticing her overly polite speech. The lavish spread looks delicious, but Cian is used to simple noodles. She devours the food like a beast, astonishing everyone. When asked why she's eating so ravenously, she explains, "All this is grown by hard-working farmers. I must appreciate their effort." The father remarks that she's grown up and must marry soon. The eldest brother suggests she attend the upcoming festival to find a suitor. Their father offers her money and tells her to dress in luxurious attire. Excited, Cian adorns herself with fine accessories, hardly believing she's living inside her favorite novel. On her way to buy clothes, she picks out 2 beautiful silk sets. Then, the jealous Wasun from another ruling family appears and snatches a dress from her hands. She even strikes the shopkeeper. Cian decides to stay silent to avoid trouble. The servant urges her to stand up for herself, but she refuses, still invited to tea. While there, the heroine of the novel, the orphan girl raised by a wealthy merchant, enters. Cian's eyes light up at seeing her favorite character in the flesh. But Wasun despises her, threatening punishment later at the evening's ball. Cian stands helplessly aside. Meanwhile, from afar, the prince appears, a terrifying figure rumored to execute criminals mercilessly, ripping out nails and teeth, even cutting cook's hair for dropping hair in food. Yet he has one friend, Sujium, a kind, dignified soul, the only one the prince trusts. Sujium calms the frightened crowd. When the prince joins them, Wasun tries to draw his attention, but trips over a carriage and is swallowed under its wheel. The prince calmly leaves with Sujium, unmoved by the spectacle. Cian, from a distance, observes the heroine and realizes she's truly in the story, wealthy and noble. The heroine just observes the plot unfold around her, and Cian wishes this dream would last forever. Cian waits eagerly for the moment the prince meets the heroine. She knows tonight will be her night. Although anxious, she reminds herself she's a minor character and mustn't upset the plot. The heroine hosts a grand festival feast for the occasion, personally supervising and instructing every servant. Finally, she declares, "Tea and sweets are ready." The tables overflow with exotic delicacies, impressive in taste and presentation. Everyone is delighted except Cian. She's less enthusiastic, and when the heroine pours her tea, Cian intentionally clatters the cup to the tray, forcing her to tidy up. While cleaning, the heroine cuts her hand and bleeds. Cian notices and rushes to give her tissues. The girls nearby disapprove, so Cian lies, saying she's afraid of blood to justify her involvement. After the heroine leaves the table, rumors spread. The heroine visits her adoptive father's room too often. Heard under the stairs, her heart shatters and tears fall. One of the girls spots her crying and wrongly assumes Wasun is mocking her. They call the heroine to confront her in public. Wasun asks about the heroine's relationship with her adoptive father. When mention is made of him being insulted, the heroine snaps, "Say whatever you like, just don't badmouth the man who saved your life." Though Cian struggles to hold back tears, she breaks the stick in her hands and decides to defend the heroine. She suggests they drink wine instead of tea to lighten the mood and ease tension. The girls agree, laughter spreads, and the heroine gives Cian a thankful look. Wasun demands the finest wine. The girls jest until Wasun asks the heroine to pour for her, but Cian interjects. "Allow me, I'll show you my skill." With graceful flair, she serves wines that enchant everyone. Guests form a line to taste her offering. Word spreads outside. People want to try Cian's wine, too. From the balcony, Sujim sees the crowd drawn to Cian's talent and can't help but admire her. Meanwhile, the prince confronts criminals caught committing crimes. He chases a masked man, duels with him, and though the criminal thinks he's strong, the prince wins. The bandit attempts to bribe him, promising power if spared, but the prince shows no mercy and kills him. Bloodied, he walks away. Celebrations erupt below, but he heads to the river to wash off the blood, tears in his eyes. Back at the heroine's home, the ball continues into the night. Cian, now dazed by drink, keeps imagining the prince standing in front of her. The next morning, she wakes to find the prince beside her. Startled, she realizes he's real, and he claims she harassed him. Cian wonders if she dreamed it, but he assures her that what happened was real, and that she followed him after getting drunk. She sits by the river. This is supposed to be the moment when the hero and heroine meet, according to the novel. But she's the one who shows up instead of the main heroine. And just as she's about to fall into the river, the prince catches her. She tells him she doesn't believe the rumors about him, that she understands him more than anyone else, and that if she were in his place, she'd choose loneliness over pain. She says what's happening isn't his fault, and that when he loves someone, he becomes a good person. Her words touch him, and he starts wondering how this woman understands him so well. The night passes, and no one knows exactly what happened between them. In the morning, someone calls for the prince, and he has to leave quickly. But before he goes, he tells her not to move from where she is until he returns. Cian starts blaming herself, thinking maybe she caused the heroine not to meet the prince like she was supposed to in the story. She can't even remember what exactly happened last night because she drank too much. On the other side, the prince tells his men to keep an eye on Cian and make sure she doesn't move. He even orders them to prepare the marriage documents. Everyone is shocked he's never agreed to marriage before. When the servants check on Cian to see if she's awake, there's no response because she's sneaking out through the back door. She runs, asking for the way to escape. As she walks, Cian still can't remember what happened last night. Her thoughts are all about the heroine, worried that something might have happened to her. So she rushes to her tea house. Meanwhile, the king, father of the prince, is still anxious because some people are loyal to the former king and won't acknowledge their rule unless a major kingdom recognizes them. That's why he asks his son to lead the diplomatic mission to that kingdom. But the prince refuses, saying the people's approval matters more, and also that he's planning to get married. The king is shocked but agrees to delay the mission for 3 months, saying he'll organize a grand wedding for everyone to witness. The prince agrees, but the king grows suspicious and orders his men to monitor him in case he acts strangely. At the same time, the heroine warmly welcomes Cian, thanking her for saving her from yesterday's embarrassing situation. Cian asks her if anything else happened last night, but the heroine says that after the wine show, the girls left joyfully. Everything went well, and she returned home afterward. At that point, Cian starts feeling guilty, wondering if she's the reason the heroine and prince didn't meet. She tries to bring up the prince, but the heroine says she's not interested in him, that she's scared of him like everyone else, and believes he's not interested in women. Scenes from last night between Cian and the prince start to come back to her mind. The heroine begins to think Cian is a kind girl, admiring her courage in defending the prince, and says she wants to become friends and see her often. From that moment, they become close friends. A little later, the prince meets the queen mother in the palace. She pretends to care, but in truth, she doesn't love him. She invites all the noble girls to a party to choose a bride for him, but he refuses and says he'll choose for himself, then leaves. Later, she hears from the servants that the prince was with a girl last night. The news shocks everyone. Meanwhile, Cian is completely lost, not believing she actually slept with the prince. And at the same time, she's best friends with the heroine. She doesn't know what to do until the servant arrives, telling her a royal wedding proposal has been sent to her house, along with gifts from the royal family. They rush home, hoping to return everything before her family sees it. On the way, she sees the prince riding his horse and suddenly jumps in front of him to stop him. Luckily, he stops just in time. She starts talking to him, saying she doesn't agree with the marriage. It doesn't make sense. But he tells her they share many things in common, and if she refuses, it could be seen as treason. She and her family could suffer because of it. Cian imagines her family being tortured and panics. So she begs him to give her 3 days to talk to her family herself. He agrees, but warns her not to try running away, because he knows every corner of the country. Later, she returns home and starts packing to escape far away. But the servant tells her to think again. Most girls dream of marrying the prince. Still, Cian dreams of living her own life. She dreams of a stable life, marrying someone from her class, having kids, and living happily. But marrying the prince, although comfortable, comes with many risks. Her maid warns her, this prince is capable of anything, and if she opposes him, she might disappear forever. Suddenly, the door swings open, and Wasun barges in without permission. When the maid tries to stop her, Wasun slaps her hard. Cian then asks to speak to her alone. Wasun starts interrogating her about the previous night, saying people saw her leaving the prince's house in the morning. She bluntly asks her what happened. Cian gets nervous, confirming Wasun's suspicions, and she grabs a cup of tea and throws it at her. But Cian quickly shields herself, and the tea splashes back onto Wasun's face. Furious, she screams when she sees her fan is ruined. She threatens Cian, saying next time it won't just be tea. Meanwhile, the prince and Sujim are visiting a tall tower to see the view of the river for the first time. But the telescope is broken, so the prince promises to buy him a new one. Sujim is delighted, believing the prince values first moments and wishing him many more of them. As he looks through the telescope, he spots Cian and the maid preparing to escape. They're pretending to be sick so they can leave the city, but the guards stop them under the prince's orders, directing them instead to his own hospitals. Cian decides to disguise herself as a man, but the prince has anticipated that he's posted fake wanted posters of her in every possible look. She imagines being chased by soldiers and gets scared, abandoning the plan in disappointment. The prince watches all this from above, laughing like a fool. Cian then starts thinking of ways to make him hate her. If she can't run, she starts trashing her room and talks about eating sweet potatoes until she gets sick, hoping to disgust him. But it backfires. He thinks she's a noble girl who respects manual labor. Her plan fails. She tries another, acting spoiled and corrupt. But he says that kind of person deserves their place and calls her a woman of global taste. Her final attempt is giving him a fake fortune scroll, saying that marrying her will cause his death. He surprises her by not being sad. He says if he can be with her for even a moment, it's enough, and rips up the scroll. With every plan failing, she considers becoming a nun. But the prince appears and stops her, revealing that she loves wine and meat, and that she's technically already married, so she can't be a nun. Out of options, she decides to try again that night. But while walking alone, she's attacked by 2 greedy thugs. Screaming in the forest, Sujim jumps down from a tree to help, but he's not a fighter. He grabs her hand and runs. As they escape, he remembers how she blended wine at the party, and he's amazed by her. She thanks him and asks what he wants in return. He simply asks her to join his club, which he claims is an astronomy club to watch stars, but is really just a drinking group. He wants to drink with her under the stars. She agrees to go once. Suddenly, the prince's voice booms. The prince appears in person. At the same time, Cian's 3 brothers show up. The prince seizes the moment to announce publicly that he will marry her. Cian is stunned. She pushes her brothers aside and covers Sujim's ears so he doesn't hear. Before she can stop the prince, she faints and falls into his arms. The story isn't over yet. If you want us to continue, let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye.